Next, we got Jordynne Grace defeating Max the Impaler with Father James Mitchell. And I was not familiar with Max. I had not seen Max's work in NWA or Ring of Honor. I had seen GIFs, I would say, and I had seen some pictures online. I dig Max the Impaler's look. I dig the catchphrases, the oh gosh, what was it? The warrior of the wasteland. I think it was one of the catchphrases. I thought that was pretty cool. The non-binary nightmare. I thought so that I think that one is kind of cool, but because Max is kind of like this beast, and probably like you wouldn't think that this like eventually if as the character shifts, that the Max the Impaler character would that would be something important to them. But right now, like I just wouldn't think that a flesh-eating monster like Max the Impaler would call themselves the non-binary nightmare. But the warrior of the warlord, it was a warlord of the wasteland. Now that's a cool name for Max the Impaler. I dig the look. I dig everything about Max the Impaler. Max a bit sloppy in the ring, not that graceful, but that's okay. I when I was watching the match, I was like, Max kind of reminds me of, and I might get in a little bit of trouble for this from some historians, but it reminded me of Kamala a little bit. But because, when Kamala first came into Memphis territory and came into Mid-South, Kamala was like the scariest dude, like a complete savage beast that no one could tame, right? And that everybody was scared of, just struck fear into the hearts of children. That's how I see Max the Impaler. Now, eventually Kamala, if you go off of the early 90s WWE, and then of course later in his life, Kamala was kind of a comedy character, but in the early 80s, Kamala was a fucking warrior beast, and that everybody was afraid of, top heel in a lot of territories, drew a lot of money. So, but not good at all in the ring. Like had terrible offense, just did a chop and a splash, and that was it. But because the character was so strong, it worked. Now you can't really get away with stuff like that anymore. You have to be a lot better in the ring, and I think Max will get better. I think they should bring Max back. Get this person under contract. The Father James Mitchell, I think he's a great manager. I think that whole act works. I like a little bit of synergy with NWA. I think that's a good thing. So I really dug this. Now, Josiah said Max was a bit stiff and reckless in NWA, and even here in this match, but Max would be a good fit for Impact. I agree. Max was a bit stiff, but I think, it was kind of like Vader-ish stiff, like not stiff in a way that I don't think anybody's going to get injured. I didn't see that. There was one spot where Grace dove out onto Max outside the ring, and Max caught her and then slammed Grace onto the ring apron, and that looked brutal. That looked very stiff. That was stiff. It looked like it hurt, but I don't think it was anything that was going to injure anybody. So I dug it. I like the facial, the makeup. I like the hair. I like everything about Max the Impaler. Bring Max back, please. But we will go to the finish here. So Max picked up Grace by the neck, choking her against the ring post. Max dragged Jordynne all over the ringside, hitting a gutbuster before hitting a huge crossface. Grace slammed Max on the ramp. That was cool. It was an Alabama slam, actually, but only got a 1 count back in the ring. Grace hit a Vader bomb on Max for a 2 count. Max hit a spear on Grace for a 2 count. Max went for a superplex, but Grace hit a power bomb out of the corner. Grace then hit the Grace driver, which was so. Max is so much larger than Grace, because Grace is like a powerhouse, and I had not, like, I knew that Max was large, but I didn't know that like the size difference would be so vast. I did not anticipate that, and that's what, like, it provided an element of danger for me, which you don't really get in the knockouts division, and you haven't really gotten that since Awesome Kong. Like, not even so much. Like, I never really felt that with Jessica Havoc. I felt that with Awesome Kong, and I kind of felt that a little bit with Max. I dug it. So, but then when Grace hit the Grace driver, which is the made in Japan, Shingo's move, that was very impressive. Grace is so awesome, and I think Grace looked great. She's shredded. She's got everything down. She's amazing.